Hi, welcome to I Innovate, a podcast about innovation and entrepreneurship with Julia Vasconcelos and Matt Winder.
So this idea sounds great now that it exists, but where did it come from? Where was this idea born?
Well, I think that a lot of people have dreamed about this collective idea of, the metaverse, to use Neal Stephenson's word for it. The idea being that, it must be possible. We've digitized audio and video. Why can't we just digitize, Earth? Why can't we just create a world which is simulated on computers, that we access through computers, but that has, special and different properties in comparison to the real world? So I think that dream has been dreamed by a lot of people. For me personally, I was interested in physics as a kid, and electronics and computers and just, making things. I was always taking things apart and figuring out how they worked, and I was very imaginative and creative. So I always just wanted to make things, and as computers got networked in a common way, when the internet and IP networking came around, I was just immediately like, well, the ultimate thing you can do with a lot of computers is connect them together over the internet and have them simulate a world. And so I think for me, and then for us at Linden Lab, that was what we wanted to do. We wanted to build sort of the ultimate Lego or erector set, if you will, in which you could build anything you wanted.
Do you remember any single aha moment where it really came together? You're like, this can really be done?
There was I think that I think a critical moment in the company's history was a board meeting that happened in 2001, so this is some time ago, where we were demonstrating the capabilities that we had created. So this was a very early version of Second Life, where you could shoot things and you could chase each other around, and you could, we had buildings, and you could knock over pieces of the building, and so we kind of had these vignettes of little games that you could play, sort of using the technology. But what we hadn't really thought a lot about was this idea of collaborative creativity, but everything even then was totally live, so you built the building with your friend standing there watching you, put the walls up. And so after we did this little shoot 'em up game kind of demo thing, we moved on in the board meeting, and I asked everybody I said, well, you guys, I'm going to leave the screen up. You guys being the 7 or 8 of us that were in the other room that weren't in the board meeting, that were just working. I said, hey, everybody, I'm going to leave the projector up. We're going to go on about the board meeting and talk about stuff. Why doesn't everybody just build crazy things? Whatever, just play around. And so we went on with the board meeting, but then what we realized after a few minutes was that we were all fixated by the crazy, fascinating chaos in front of us of basically people in the other room just playing around and making things. So some guy made a snowman. One of our guys made a snowman. So he just built a snowman sitting in the snow. And then somebody else, kind of riffing on that, built a bunch of little snowmen worshiping the big snowman. So it was just this completely bizarre wandering through creative space. And it was at that moment that we realized, no. The thing about this metaverse is that you can make things there with other people, that you can have this collaborative, creative experience that you just can't have in the real world, unless you're extraordinarily lucky or at some very unusual event or something.
Wow.
So how can Second Life translate into the real world or First Life?
Well, I think there's a lot of answers to that. One is that because Second Life is so plastic, and by that I mean so changeable by you, because it's so easy to redecorate your room or change how you look or try some weird business that you'd never have tried before, there is a tendency to, in a great way, to carry that expectation into the real world. So there's all kinds of anecdotal examples already in Second Life where you'll go talk to somebody and you'll say, well, why did you become an architect in real life? And they say, well, I just tried it in Second Life, and then I just realized, hey, I could actually do this, or somebody loses weight in the real world, and they say, well, it's just so easy to do with your avatar. So I think one of the great things about Second Life is that it creates a world so examinable and so editable and mutable that we expect that from the real world. And if we expect that from the real world when we leave Second Life, good for us, because many things in the real world, as we all know, if you just give it a try, you'd find that you could do it, but psychology and the permanence of the world sort of conspires against us and keeps us from doing that. So that's one example. There's a lot of more mundane examples. Certainly, there's a lot of things that we're doing in the real world that can be done really well in Second Life that has an effect on them, like live music. Right now in Second Life, you can go and you can go pitch the owner of a nightclub in Second Life to let you play there, your little band on Friday night, and if they let you, you go and set up as avatars, and you hook up a shoutcast stream so you can play 128 kilobit MP3 to everybody that's at that club, and you literally stand up on stage in Second Life and play music for them. Sell them your CDs, get some tips, you get an audience that hopefully talks about you. You can reach a couple of hundred people in an evening at a club in Second Life, which is more than you're going to reach down on Polk Street here in San Francisco. And those couple of hundred people are probably going to be more diverse than the people you would have met on Polk Street. They're going to be from all over the world. Half of them are not going to be in the United States. So that's an example of how it's just a better way of launching a little band or something like that.
It's almost letting you rapidly prototype your own life.
Yes, I think that's a great way of saying it. That we always think of Second Life as being like a time machine. So if there's something you want to do and it's doable in Second Life, you can test it in there and find out what's going to happen. I think that's where some companies, even the real world companies nowadays in the last couple of months, look at Second Life and correctly see that it's kind of an ultimate prototyping and taste testing environment. If people like it in Second Life, they'll probably like it in the real world, as long as it's not food or something.